Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this special afternoon stream with myself, Max, and of course, our special guest today, Crashes Clay 69. Of course, most of you probably know him from Twitter, or I mean, he sent me a bunch of his followers, so you guys are probably his followers as well. But he's an absolute beast in these markets. He's had some of the most honestly, I think epic is the only word that comes to mind. Some of the most epic plays, at least in Q1, that maybe I've seen publicly. And he did it all publicly too. I've got a lot of respect for this guy. He's been very generous to me, a really great friend, a new friend, and we were DMing and thought it would be fun to just kind of link up and share some charts. Obviously, both of us, for those that are familiar with his work and mine, you know that we're both technicians. We really lean into the charts. And that's where, we find a lot of our signal, and I guess comfort and insulation is in the technical. So today, we didn't script this, we didn't plan this. Like, we kind of just popped in here and we both have our charts in the background. And I think how we're going to roll right now is we're just going to trade charts and we're just going to have a fun discussion, talk about things that are of interest to both of us. And of course, maybe if we find some time, drop in some tickers that you guys want to see, you want us to talk about. I have a feeling I know what a handful of them are going to be. But yeah, let us know what you guys are thinking and feeling. And guys, before we really dive into it, do me a solid. Not only hit that like button, all right, but also hit the subscribe button. Now, I dream of living in a world where one day we don't need to get likes on a video for the content to be pushed, but the mega cap tech overlords dictate that we need to get likes on a video in order for our channel to grow, for more eyes to see our content. So there's a lot of you in here right now. Let's see how many. We got 600 people on YouTube right now. Guys, we need at least a 1-to-1 like ratio. That means all it takes, this is totally free content. We're going to be chilling here for at least over an hour, maybe even 2. We'll see if my wife allows for that. I just flew to Florida today, so we'll see. She's been pretty patient with me working on vacation. But guys, we need 600 likes. All right, we got 600 people in here on YouTube. That means we need 600 likes. It's free content. It just takes one quick moment. Navigate your finger over to your clicker, or if you're on your phone, just hit it. Press that like button and also hit that subscribe button. We also have Crashes Clay's information down in the description. Definitely follow him if you are not already a follower of his. But Crash, man, thanks so much for being here. I'm really excited that we found a time to do this, man. Like right at the beginning of Q2, there's a lot of volatility going on right now. Really exciting times ahead. Obviously, the Bitcoin halving is in like less than 3 weeks. But yeah, let's get some thoughts from you, man. First of all, how are you? And you kick off the conversation with whatever you want, man. What's catching your eye right now?
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, this is literally the first time myself and Max have ever talked. So it's really cool to meet him, guys. If you're not following him, you have to, man. This guy has the best charts in the world, and it's only a matter of time until everyone finds out and realizes it. Like me, guys, I have a good understanding of the charts, and we both rely on charts, but I could never make my charts as pretty and presentable as him. So I'll start off with I guess my not so beautiful charts and explain. We're going to talk about like more fundamental plays first, and then let's work our way into like meme coins, right? So I know a lot of people here watching probably are for the memes, but I think it's also good to have some fundamental plays as your backbone to hold it down for you as well. So you can see my screen, right?
I can. Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, cool. So like one of my bets this cycle is going to be Litecoin actually shocking the world. And there's a couple reasons, fundamental and technically for me, right? And so if we just forget the fundamentals, you don't even know what Litecoin is, right? You'll look at this chart and you'll see it's downtrending versus Bitcoin. Most people say it's freaking useless. Like, who would buy a chart like this? But that is where I love to come in because, just like when I bought the bottom in Bitcoin and, publicly called that on my channel and on Twitter, right? Down here in Bitcoin, it's very similar to Litecoin. Like you see how Litecoin is just downtrending, downtrending, downtrending. Look at Bitcoin. It's downtrending, downtrending, downtrending. And then, right, this is where the magic happens, is at the bottom when everyone tells you that this shit is stupid, that, why would you get into that when it's performing so badly? These a lot of times make for the greatest entries ever because a lot of times things can't really get worse when everyone already thinks it's so damn bad. I love to come in on things that people think are absolute shit. Okay. Now, Litecoin actually fundamentally is really solid. It's really strong, right? It's been out for 10 years, no downtime, right? The network has always been operating and it's never had any problems. And so, right now we see on Bitcoin, there's a bidding war to see who can gain the most percentage supply of Bitcoin, right? And so if everyone calls Bitcoin gold, right, the digital gold, then I'm trying to front run what people are going to think in the future. And I think, they are going to run with the narrative that Litecoin is the digital silver to Bitcoin as gold. And so as we have a bidding war on Bitcoin, and they call Bitcoin the digital real estate, they say, like Michael Saylor says, it's like owning a block of land on New York before all the buildings are built, right?
Mhm.
As they all try to fight for the land on gold, I'm going to be trying to claim a share of the land on silver, right? And so because it's going to get so damn expensive to own a block on New York, it's going to become so damn expensive to own a share of Bitcoin that I think people are going to see opportunity to go and claim a share of the silver of Litecoin, right? And so the thing is about Litecoin, right, is it is a coin that is not considered a security, right? And there are very few cryptos that are not considered a security. And so it goes right in that category with Bitcoin as a commodity. And for that reason, regulatory clarity is there for Litecoin, meaning it can get approved for ETFs. It can get pushed on, we just saw on Coinbase, it got futures contracts, I believe, on Coinbase, right? So because it's so legally, chill as a commodity, right? That opens up a lot of potential for institutional allocation into Litecoin. And once again, that would tie into my thesis that people are going to try to claim Litecoin as, as like a different city, like claiming Miami, right, instead of New York. So anyways, when you look at this chart here, once again, it has the common pattern of downtrending, underperforming for a while, downtrending, underperforming for a while. And then look at this, right? Bitcoin here, as it came lower, okay, on a weekly time frame, you noticed what? Okay, you notice bullish divergence. Okay, and when you get bullish divergence on a weekly time frame, more times than not, in my case, I'll argue 90% of the time you're going to end up with a major bottom. Okay, so you get major divergence into a double bottom where the bottom undercuts that first low, and it happens after a major downtrend. So I am just taking my knowledge on this pattern. This is my favorite pattern in trading. Okay, it's called, people say don't catch the knife, don't bottom fish. Well, when I get this pattern, that's exactly what I do. I go bottom fishing on this pattern because it works. It really does, and it creates really powerful trend reversals. And so you see the same exact thing on Litecoin versus the Bitcoin pair, right? You have this bullish divergence in the pair as it came lower after downtrending and underperforming for a long time. So you just got to look at that. Bitcoin is underperforming the US dollar for a long time, comes in, double bottom, bullish divergence. Litecoin underperforming Bitcoin for a long time, comes in, double bottom, and weekly bullish divergence is the way I see it. So if this can reverse, right, you see all these EMAs above for Bitcoin, right? You get above those and the skies are clear, right? So for Litecoin, these are above, but if we can clear those and reverse the trend here, like I do believe we can, especially with my narrative and what I'm kind of front running and the story behind what can happen. I could see a case where we could see Litecoin completely reverse this downtrend against Bitcoin, and in the future actually start to outperform Bitcoin and do what it's never done before. Once again, it's a very speculative bet, but it's one that I think is definitely going to pay off. And even if it doesn't pay off to the extent that I think it will, right, which is go up, and completely change what Litecoin has done versus Bitcoin, which is downtrend to change to an uptrend, right? Even if it doesn't truly fully reverse the course, look, every cycle we do see, Litecoin will have a time where it outperforms Bitcoin, right? Here it goes up 170% versus Bitcoin, 108% versus Bitcoin, 188% versus Bitcoin. And so based on the bullish divergence on the weekly time frame, I expect it's going to at least outperform Bitcoin, right, by 120%, for example. And so even if it doesn't fully reverse the course, I feel very confident that by holding Litecoin at this point in the cycle, at this point in the chart, at this point where everyone says it's trash and why would you do that, I feel very confident I'm going to outperform everyone holding Bitcoin by holding Litecoin. Now I still hold Bitcoin and I still hold both, but I just feel I have such a good feeling about these charts because, man, when you live through these charts and you play these multiple times in these situations where people make fun of you and they say it's a dumb play, it underperforms, blah, 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 that only makes me more confident. And so that's why I'm so freaking bullish on Litecoin. Like my instincts internally, when I wake up, like I want to buy more Litecoin. Like my body wants to buy more Litecoin. And it's like I can't control my body. I don't know why it wants to do that outside of the factors I freaking see in the chart, but like my body has a gravitational pull towards Litecoin. It just wants it, bro. And I listen to it. And so I have a feeling I'll be at least somewhat right, like at least right to the extent that it's going to pump 127% versus Bitcoin, you know?
Bro, when you
So
said that you can't control your body, I was picturing like your right hand on a mouse and your left hand like holding it back, like trying not to hit the buy button, man. Okay, so let's talk about your Litecoin play, man. So let me put this out there for everybody. One, I don't like Litecoin. I like Litecoin in the sense that, you know, it was inspired out of Bitcoin, right? It's basically like the youngest son of Bitcoin, right? That was sort of the intent behind it. It's a decentralized proof of work network, and it's faster and whatever. We don't need to get into all the fundamentals. We're here to really talk technicals. One thing that I don't love is that obviously the founder kind of dumped his bag. But Crash, what you're talking about here, man, is an entirely different thing than being a long-term investor in Litecoin. Because when I look at this chart, I don't see any good reason to be a long-term investor in Litecoin. However, what you're talking about is finding a small window of time, sort of a cyclical trend that may be showing its hand here on the Litecoin Bitcoin pair. Where, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you're advocating that Litecoin over, you know, a 100-year period is going to be a better bet than Bitcoin, but potentially for the next 6 to 12 months it would be? Or are you saying that it actually could potentially be a better bet than Bitcoin all around?
yeah, so I think at the very minimum in the 6 to 12 month period, it will beat Bitcoin. And then from there, it could just continue the downtrend, right? It could just continue underperforming forever and ever. But
Yeah.
I think basically I have a point in time where I can buy Litecoin, confidently know it's going to outperform Bitcoin for me. And then I may, if I'm right, I think it can actually reverse the course of history and start to outperform Bitcoin. And you know, I'm looking at the comments on our live and I just see people laughing about Litecoin and, you know, just thinking it's a bad play. Like I said, to me, that only boosts my confidence. All my greatest plays have always been when people laughed usually. And
Yeah.
so, no, I do think Litecoin can outperform Bitcoin actually on a 100-year time frame. I really
Okay.
do, you know, because Bitcoin eventually, like what, in the year of 2035, um, the incentivization for miners is not going to really be there, is it? So fundamentally, I'm not the most knowledgeable, but I do, from my understanding, you know, Bitcoin's fee structure and blocks rewards are going to be far less sustainable in the future. And so, you know, especially spending time like in Monero, I feel like that's a major concern amongst like Monero people is the network security beyond like the year 2035 or 2040, right, for Bitcoin. So not that it really bothers us short term in the next 30 to 50 years, I don't think at all. But no, I really do think Litecoin could outperform it.
That's fair. And by the way, I've always subscribed to the mantra that what I want doesn't matter, right? Like you show me the chart and that's all that matters, right? I can look at a chart and I'll tell you what, guys, I don't like Litecoin because it's been in a, you know, half of a decade long downtrend against Bitcoin. However, if that trend line that Crash has drawn right there flips and we hold it and we start to coil and start to move up, it doesn't matter what I think at all. Market doesn't give a damn what I think. Thank you guys for all the nice comments as well. So someone says, Crash, you the goat. Relaxing, soothing videos and sounds says, Crash, you the goat. Maybe this is a relaxing, soothing video for this person. That's great. But Crash, actually, if you're cool with it, man, I just pulled up the Litecoin BTC pair. I'd love to just take a little crack at it, and I don't even really do analysis on it, man, like at all. I just pulled it up, but I was thinking I could take a stab at it live.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, if
this
you'll take down my chart and I'll watch your screen
cool. I
next.
just did it. I think you should be able to see it
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, I'm
right?
watching.
Looks
Yep.
good.
I,
Cool.
yep.
All right. So this is Litecoin Bitcoin. And guys, just a quick reminder for those that needed a little bit of context on Crash's chart too. So when the chart is moving down like this, that means that Litecoin is underperforming Bitcoin and Bitcoin is the better hold. And on the flip side of that, if the chart is moving up like it did right here, that means that Litecoin is dramatically outperforming Bitcoin from this low 700%, right? So just understand what this chart actually means, okay? Because I know that a lot of people they look at USD pairs, okay? What we're doing is we're talking about pair trading. And by the way, this is the best bit of alpha you can possibly have in these markets, is that if you can avoid being in cash or stables and literally just rotate asset to asset, there is so many hidden pairs that literally tell you the entire picture, which is, for those of you that follow me, you know how I mostly determine where I invest my money, at least in meme coins and beta, is because of how the pairs look against like Pepe and Doge and stuff like that. But what I want to do here is actually just figure out when this pair actually does perform well, right? So like we know that historically it has bled a little bit, a little bit against Bitcoin, a lot of bit against Bitcoin, which is fine. But just because something has happened in the past doesn't mean that it's destined to continue, right? Trends always break. Trends break every single day, and you have to be flexible and just pivot when presented with new information. So let's actually go to the 10-day, get a little bit more data. I'll hide the RSI for now. I've got Bitcoin down here. We're going to move Bitcoin up here, and we're going to actually figure out if we can time this move, right? Because Litecoin, just looking at the chart, right, it is a perpetual bleed against Bitcoin. And why would you hold anything if it's bleeding against Bitcoin? Bitcoin is going to be safer. However, from a trader's perspective, there's plenty of incentive to hold something that could potentially pop, 7, 8, 900%. If we can time this out. So let's look at when Bitcoin has historically performed well against Litecoin. So right up top here, and I'll label it here, we have, here, I'll put it right here. We have Litecoin BTC. All right. And then down below here, we just have Bitcoin USD. And sorry if the typing is really loud. I'm not at my desk, so I know that the microphone is right by my keyboard. Okay, so Bitcoin down below, and then Litecoin paired against Bitcoin to try to gauge its performance. So when has Litecoin actually, like, let's just going back to here, 2017. When has Litecoin actually outperformed that of Bitcoin? All right, we're going to mark out the previous cycle all-time highs, because that's kind of how I determine when things are like in a bull market, is when Bitcoin gets into price discovery. That's typically when you see things heat up. So looking at this right here, now let's draw some vertical lines. When has Litecoin, Bitcoin popped, right? And I can make this a little bit easier to see here. And we'll make it, we'll just make it blue. All right. So Litecoin popped against Bitcoin and dramatically outperformed it by 700% once Bitcoin basically broke above the previous all-time high. And I can just draw a...
Bro, this is sick. See, I don't know how to use TradingView like this,
I spend a lot of time on here, man. You don't need to. You're very successful without it. Let's put it that way. I do this because I literally have to. Like, I'm such a visual learner that if I don't make it super clear for myself, it just doesn't click. Like I'll do this chart and then I'll never forget it. And it's just like locked in my head. Because if I just talk about it, I'll just forget it. But now let's see, when Litecoin has outperformed, again, going in the past, right? This is a nice little, actually interesting right here, as Bitcoin like global topped, it outperformed again. Here, let me make this a little bit smaller, because I'm trying to see if there's a pattern, right? Like I want to know if there's a pattern to, if we can time out when it actually makes sense as a trader to hold Litecoin, right? So really interesting here. They're kind of overlapping each other, but I notice here when Bitcoin first cracked the all-time high and made a new high after a bear market, marked by this blue line, Litecoin BTC went up 700%. So Litecoin began to outperform, kind of like it is right now. And then at the 2017 global top, when Bitcoin was basically about to like nuke, that was the global top, Litecoin had like a final exhausted, 300% jolt against Bitcoin. And that was a top signal. So let's keep moving and see what else we can find here. So we did pop, interesting. So right basically in the final distribution, for the first high in March, April, May for Bitcoin, the Litecoin Bitcoin pair once again went up 100%, and then that was like the global top. Very, very interesting there. All right, let's see. It kind of performed well while Bitcoin was nuking. That's really bizarre. Okay, so that like called the bottom basically. Like Litecoin, BTC outperforming also basically marked the Bitcoin bottom, like literally marked the bottom perfectly. Okay, so let's look at where we're at right now. So Bitcoin just made a new all-time high compared to last cycle, and we're starting to see Litecoin outperform. So it seems like the pattern crash that I'm seeing, and I know this is a lot of information, is that when Litecoin starts to outperform Bitcoin, it means one of two things. Either the cycle is just beginning and we're about to have like months and months of froth, or well, I guess one of three things. It's either the cycle is just beginning, we're about to have months and months of froth and good times ahead, similarly to right here back in March of 2017, or second, it's calling a global top, like it did here in November, December of 2017, and then also April, May of 2021, or lastly, actually calling a Bitcoin global bottom. So it seems like when Litecoin starts moving, the market's telling you one of three very important things. We're about to get started, it's completely over, or it's time to go all in and start buying the bottom. But that's what I'm seeing when I look at this chart.
So it really is a tricky pair, because it's not like we get one signal every time, and that's why I think that the RSI helps a lot on that pair. When you see that bullish divergence on the weekly time frame on Litecoin versus Bitcoin, like that to me is the signal to tell you like, hey, this is the entry on Litecoin over Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, and that's so let's look at it, right? Like you are 100% correct. Like these bull divs, they typically play like really nicely. I mean, a prime example is, and we can delete
Right
this
there before the end of 2019.
right
Perfect
here.
bullish divergence on the weekly, yeah.
Yeah,
And then bam.
that's beautiful, man. I mean, that's textbook, right? Like that
And that's
is
basically what we're getting right now, right? It's like the same thing almost, a
so.
downtrend put into that bullish divergence.
I mean, if I have to guess, right? So like we just talked about how Litecoin BTC outperforming and chatting basically means one of three very important things. We're starting like a monster cycle, we're ending a monster cycle, or it's the bottom. We know it's not the bottom because contextually it doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin didn't just like put in a global bottom, right?
Yep.
We can rule that out. So it's either we're starting something crazy and we're about to have like a monster alt season, or the top is in. The halving is in 3 weeks. I don't really think it's that, so I'm kind of leaning towards the most comparable from a context perspective. And again, you have to apply context to all this stuff, guys. Is it kind of seems like this might be more like where we're at. Like this, in this spot on the chart is precisely when the bull market in 2017 like began to kick off. And I'll pull Bitcoin back up here real quick just to show you guys. So here's Bitcoin on the bottom. I won't move it up just because we don't need to see it all again. But you can see what happened to Bitcoin after Litecoin started to kind of move. And this wasn't a bull div, right? It doesn't really matter. The point being is like we were super oversold, and the context of Bitcoin basically going on to not only
Dude,
go
that
through a bear market, get back above its previous cycle all-time high. It kind of seems like contextually this is where we'd probably be, more than any other spot.
bro, that's amazing analysis, And so then think about that. In that chart where that point in time we're looking at, Bitcoin not only continues to go higher, but Litecoin also outperforms Bitcoin on the way up. And that would tie into my thesis that if Bitcoin goes up 3 to 4x from here and Litecoin outperforms it, then expect Litecoin to go up 8 to 10x. And that would tie into my thesis that this is a cycle that Litecoin breaks past those $400 highs and goes farther than we've ever seen it, right? So your analysis right now is actually giving me a lot clearer view of this than even I knew or thought. So like this is amazing stuff that you're freaking showing, man. I don't know if people see this the way we see it, but this is amazing, bro.
Oh, thank you, Crash, man. You're honestly like one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Not just because of that compliment, but guys, Crash is a genuine dude. A really, really nice guy. But yeah, I mean, like Here's the thing. I like the play, but my question to you is there an opportunity cost associated with holding Litecoin versus one of these other altcoins? You know, if you're looking to hold an altcoin, you know, what are some of the other altcoins you're looking at, right? Because now we need to pair Litecoin against some other prospect of yours, because even though it's going to outperform Bitcoin, I assume you're trying to outperform Bitcoin by more than 2 or 3x, right? Even if the trade works, you're
No,
probably
really,
looking.
I'm really thinking like I want something that feels extremely safe to me, but then I'll still get a really solid return. It's like to me, Litecoin feels like the safest bet in the market, with also a mix of, hey, minimum I think it gets back to $400, but I could have extra like on top of that. We could go to 1,000 plus. And so for that reason, I think it has the same downside as Bitcoin. It has the more upside than Bitcoin though, right? Like that's the way I see it. It's the safest bet to me in the entire market, and I can literally put my entire net worth in Litecoin and go to sleep and be totally chill.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
a
you
really
can't do that with like PEPE necessarily. Even though I think PEPE is going to 30 billion plus, like I couldn't put everything I have into PEPE, you know. But like with Litecoin, I could. Bitcoin, I could, you know.
Hey, Crash, real quick. I see, is there another person in here, or is that your chart? Someone.
That is not me, bro. Bobo 20 billion. I see the comment. Did I
So
I don't
somebody is in here with us. I don't know if you invited them.
I
No
don't
one
know
can
how.
see them. Like I would have to add them to the stage, but they did get access to the link somehow. Um,
That's weird.
okay. I'm gonna ban them from the studio.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe I accidentally shared the StreamYard link instead of the YouTube link. I'm not sure. Maybe somewhere.
yeah, he just got booted. Yeah, someone got the link somehow, man. I don't know. I don't know I don't know who they are. Um, huh.
But dude, what altcoins do you feel really confident in holding? I know PEPE
Yeah.
is one of them, right?
Right. So Pepe is for sure one of them. If we look at Litecoin fundamentally, right? Like, what did you just say to me? You're like, I feel as though Litecoin is, you know, I could put my net worth in it and sleep and know that it's not going to rug and go to zero, right? Like some of these altcoins, the ones you're in, like Brett, which is, you know, a really fantastic performer. Some of the other ones, you know, you're in, I'm in a lot of like these micro cap alts as well. Um, you know, I don't even need to name them. We'll get into it later. I know you guys want me to say it because you're just going to go on chain and ape and move the chart, but I'm not going to say it right now. um, but if we look at Litecoin, right, like why do you feel safe in it, right? So it's a decentralized proof of work. Um, you know, like it's almost like a model, an improved model of Bitcoin. That's sort of the intent. And it also has stood the test of time. What is sort of like that narrative attached to this cycle? In my opinion, it's probably Caspa, as even a further improvement of Bitcoin that is dramatically improved, you know, compared to Litecoin, being a fair launch, decentralized proof of work network, and there's going to be smart contract, you know, implementation and capabilities in the not too distant future. So, you know, when I look at that, I say, all right, if we're looking for like security, something that's stable but has the potential for upside, I would probably want to chart Litecoin against Caspa to see which one would potentially be better, right? The only thing that Litecoin, I mean, we'll see how the chart looks, right? But
And I actually wanted to chart Caspa with you too, because I'm in a trade. I'm long on Caspa as well. And
let's do
I'm
it.
down about 9K right now. I'll show my position. I was just up like 140K on Caspa like a couple days ago. Now I'm down about 9K. I'll show my position. I'll share it with everyone, and then I'll go over my analysis on Caspa as well.
So here's Litecoin Caspa, guys. So just a quick
But that looks
reminder,
good.
if we're doing this right here and we're bleeding, and I'll make this red just so it's not confusing. If we're moving down like this, that means that Caspa is outperforming Litecoin. And if we're moving up, it means the opposite. All right. It means that Litecoin is outperforming Caspa. So I mean, when I look at this, right, like I kind of think, all right, like, is this some sort of trend that's breaking? Like, could we do this maybe? I don't know. It's too early to tell, because this just kind of looks like, I mean, it just looks cooked to me. Like this pair, oops, just looks
It
complete.
looks amazing to me. This is the shit I dream of buying, man. Like I love stuff. See, I'm a bottom fisher. I really am. I love coming in when everyone thinks shit looks bad. Like that's how I nailed the bottom in Bitcoin. It's like my favorite thing. There's nothing more satisfying than coming in on a pair that everyone thinks is cooked, man. Like that's what I live for. There's actually probably nothing more that makes me happy in trading than that.
So what you're really gonna like, Crash, is this right here, man.
Exactly,
You're
bro.
gonna
Look at
love
that.
this bull
And
div.
this looks just like Bitcoin at between 20K and 16K bottom, right? If we look at that at the Bitcoin chart, like it's the same pattern, you know?
Hmm.
It's a major trend reversal. So imagine being bullish on Caspa over Litecoin here. You're saying that this pair is going to continue down after that bullish divergence, after downtrending already for a long time. Like personally, I'm not going to sit here. See, when something is already down so much, I'm not going to be one to say, no, it needs to keep going down. Right. And when something has already gone up a ton, I'm not one to say, oh, it's going to keep going up usually. Like the more something has been going up, the more I'm going to be looking to take profit. And the more something has went down, the more I'm going to be looking to actually buy it. Right. So like kind of the opposite of most people, which is largely what makes me pretty solid at this shit.
So I'm just seeing some comments here. Give me a second. All right, guys, let's just be respectful in the comments. All right. No dropping contract addresses and, all this stuff, man. I had to block a couple people. Like, you can't just come in here and drop a bunch of contract. Who is this? Now, somebody else is in here too, Crash. You see this person at the bottom?
Yeah. Let me look.
Someone, do you have like a
Did I?
team, or does someone have your like login or something?
No, nobody has my login.
Okay.
I don't think I shared the link anywhere.
He
I
said,
don't know.
"My bad, bro. You accidentally dropped the YouTube live link. Just cool in here. No biggie. No sweat. Ain't trying to bother anyone." Did we tweet out the link? Like this, the StreamYard link?
I'm gonna
Did I
just
do,
delete.
did I do that?
I don't
No,
know,
I
bro.
tweeted out the YouTube. Did you tweet out the
I
StreamYard
might
link?
have dropped it in my TG here. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it on. I don't
I'm a,
see
I'm
it
a
on.
reshare. I'm a reshare link, but then just make sure definitely it's the YouTube one.
Okay. Yeah, I think the StreamYard link got leaked accidentally.
Okay, I just covered my tracks and deleted links.
Okay.
So
I mean, they can't come up on here. I have to add them, but I'm just seeing people pop in here. I'm like, something's going on, man. All right. All right, whatever. We're good. But yeah, so I like this chart, man. You kind of have to be like, it doesn't matter how you feel, right? Like you can feel however you want to feel. At the end of the day, like the chart is telling you something, and this is starting to move. I guess where I would be like a little cautious is like in this region, right? Like it's probably going to move up into this region here. And again, this is Litecoin Caspa. So like what's a better hold, Litecoin or Caspa? The chart moves up, Litecoin's a better hold, chart moves down, Caspa's a better hold. If it moves up here and we kind of just see it churning, then it's probably just going to do something like this, and it's just going to do this. So I don't think you have to worry about that in the short term, right? And
yeah,
by the way, that's
definitely.
not a death sentence for Litecoin USD either. Litecoin could go up 10x and Caspa could go up 20x, and then this chart would do this.
Right.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But I think that's if you chew through this area and do something like this, yeah, forget about it, man. Litecoin is king. But this is the area you need to watch out for sure. For sure.
Exactly. And see, it's the very fact that we could see that kind of upside in such a dominant coin like Caspa, which has just been destroying everything in the market, right? For the last year. So I think Litecoin is one of those trades where one, you have no more risk than any other coin, but you have the potential to outperform absolutely everything almost, outside of like meme coins. So you have such limited risk. You have in the short term to medium term, I think you can very confidently see it outperform Bitcoin, right? And then you have the extra on top that it could potentially go on and run to do. So like I said, I feel so comfortable in Litecoin.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting play, man. You want to talk about anything else? What else are you looking at right now? So we
Yeah,
know
dude, let
you're in
me
a Caspa
show you
trade.
the
You were
trade
gonna,
for Caspa.
yeah. Let's pull you back up here. All right. So you're down 9K on Caspa, but still optimistic, I would assume. Cautiously
Yeah,
optimistic.
very, very. I mean, I was just up 140K. I'm sitting here holding Casper for like 40 cents plus is the goal. So yeah, you can see here on my trade, I'm down 22,000 in realized. That's a combination of fees, and also I'll like scale out of the position some if I think it's going to go lower, then I'll scale it back in. So I got $215,000 on 3x leverage there on Caspa. So this could be an amazing trade. And like also that's the cool thing is, let's say Litecoin underperforms Caspa, which I don't think it will, right? I should make good money on Caspa. So I have the best of both worlds. I hold massively on spot Litecoin, and then I also have this leverage position on Caspa. So check this out on Caspa, bro. Right? See this, these bullish reversal weekly candles. They're really freaking good, right?
Yeah.
So like here we just had it, and we're still falling off despite that. Okay. Now this reminds me, just like over here earlier, we had the exact same thing happen right here. Look,
Yeah.
downtrending, shitting the bed, big bull reversal candle. And look at this, two of those red candles, like just, the momentum doesn't pick back up right off that bull reversal candle, right? It fades still. And so like you can just see what's happening right now. Exact same that happened right here. Okay. That's one thing. Another thing is like obviously these bull reversals, these big wicks on the weekly time frame that come after downtrends a lot of times are what? They're marking bottoms, right? So you have it here, you have it here, right? You have these wicks here that mark the bottom after downtrending. So when you have a pair like Caspa, right, which for the last year has been crushing Bitcoin and just keeps going up and to the right versus Bitcoin, right? You have these signals to you that create bottoms on the way up. Well, you got that signal again here, basically. And, you don't even have to overcomplicate it beyond that. You don't need to know the fundamentals. You don't even need to know what Caspa is. There you go. And so look at this. We get the bull reversal, and then look at this, the weeks coming after. Like the volume on the sell side, right, on these weeks that we're pulling back, like they're very low. Okay. So to me, that's a sign that selling pressure is not as strong as you would think it is. And so, even though the red candles paint a story that price is going down, the volume is telling you a different story, which is that we're running out of sellers, is how I feel. And when that coincides with the factor of this being in a major uptrend versus Bitcoin, and these bull reversal wicks on a weekly time frame marking bottoms when it's been underperforming, that's something I love to see. And so guess what? Once again, you'll learn quickly about me, and the more time we hang out on these streams and stuff, is like I love buying shit that is underperforming in the short to medium term, right? And so, for example, right, this is over USDT, by the way. Whoops, we weren't even looking at the BTC pair. I thought we were looking at the BTC pair.
It kind of
Okay,
looks,
so
yeah, go ahead.
it looks similar, but look at Caspa USDT over Bitcoin USDT, right?
Look at that bull
So
dip, bro. That is clear as day.
exactly,
Yeah.
it is clear as day, and that is why, right? Just a perfect undercut of that low, double bottom, bullish divergence. After what? After this thing is underperforming, and this is actually the longest period of underperformance for Caspa over Bitcoin we've ever seen.
And by
And
the
so,
way, Crash, not to interject because you're cooking, but if you were to just draw like a horizontal line on that pair, on those two tops before the last big push up, right there
right,
across.
yeah,
So we're printing high time frame bullish divergences while sell volume is dropping off of a cliff, and we're coming back in to retest high time frame demand.
yeah, bro, this is a freaking bottom. Like
It
that's
feels like
a
a
bottom.
layup. It feels like a layup,
It
honestly.
really is,
Yeah.
and that's why, I have the position I am. That's why I can literally be down 10,000. Like, I don't care. I have a $215,000 position. So being down 10,000, like it's literally like a tiny percentage of the position. Actually, I'm up on my unrealized part of the position. This is locked in like fees and trimming out of the position, which you do to trade around and make sure that you feel comfortable with your position and it's solid. It's yeah. So yeah, you're retesting those highs, sell volume disappearing, bullish divergence on the daily. And also, man, you have a pair that once again is crushing Bitcoin. And we know that, the altcoins typically like to outperform Bitcoin once you go into that price discovering mode past the all-time high. Where are we around the all-time high? And we could be breaking out of those all-time highs soon. So that can set the stage for us to outperform Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, once again, looking back right here, that wick right there, that wick right there, and now not so evident on the BTC pair like it is on the USDT pair. But yeah, this is the way I see it, man. And so let's just look at the length and duration of these times of underperformance, right? So date range, right? Here, underperforms for 70 days. Here, this is a weekly time frame, so we're not going to get an accurate measurement there. Here, underperforms for 70 days. And then here, if you go based off that top, it's been 35 days. But if you really go based off of here, it's been about 140 days. So this is the longest dip we've seen against Bitcoin. And personally, like I said, the longer something bleeds, the more interest that I get, actually, which is just, like I said, it's very weird to people because, but you just got to realize, look how long Bitcoin is bleeding, right? Versus the US dollar, right? For 440 days. That's a long time, dude. Not 440, but, around 400 days. That's a long time to bleed. And so what do most people say? Oh, it's bleeding versus the dollar. I don't want Bitcoin then. I'm the opposite, man. I see something underperforming, but it's something that has a history of outperforming, right? Bitcoin has a history of outperforming the US dollar. So if I can get a time period in which it actually underperforms before it starts flipping back to overperforming, right? Same thing with Caspa. This is a thing that's outperforming Bitcoin. So if I can get a dip in a time that it's underperforming, then I do believe there will be times again where Caspa is outperforming. So if I can simply buy in a time where it underperforms, I can flip it to people in a time that it overperforms. And that's huge, because most people, they are buying it when it's outperforming. They're buying it into the pump, and then they don't want to buy the dips. And that's how you make money. You got to buy the dips on good pairs and good things and good charts. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Litecoin. I'm sorry, Caspa. And yeah, those are the two fundamental plays that I'm really glad I could kind of go over here. I would be interested to see some of your analysis on Caspa. I think you've been in Caspa way longer than me.
Maybe. I mean, I've been watching Caspa for a long time. I was watching it and stalking it to decide if I wanted to pull the trigger. I don't have any leverage open. I haven't played any leverage in months. I'm literally just holding heavy spot bags of everything. I feel like I can get enough. I can get enough volatility and beta out of just pair trading spot, against other, smaller stuff like that. But I first bought Caspa just under 10 cents. And that was in that previous consolidation that we were looking at. So let me pull up and we can remake some charts here.
Cool. I'm going to switch over and watch your chart now.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's do this. So I was right here, and I'll redo this live just so people can see. So, when you look at the chart on linear mode, in my opinion, right, all of this was just nothing. This is on chain, the equivalent of on chain season. There was no inkling of people didn't even know what this was, right? Unless you were really knowledgeable on and watching it closely and a true crypto native. Okay. In my opinion, the first actual pump that we had, because if you put it in log mode, you could be like, oh, this was a huge pump. And it's yeah, but this was the equivalent of Bitcoin at 25 cents. The first real pump that we had was this one here, back in, looks like Q1 to early Q2 of 2023. All right, so what do I want to do here is I identify our first major pump. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit. We're going to ignore some of that really, really early price action when Caspa was literally just an infant. And we're going to identify, and I'm explaining why I bought. So we're going to identify our first major swing high and then our first major swing low. And we're going to draw some fibs exactly from this high and then we're going to drag it all the way through. Again, it's perfectly dropped here on this low. Why did I buy so aggressively? After this pump, I'm like, okay, this thing is real, man. Like this has some serious interest. We came and we flipped this 1.618. And I said, all right, look, here's the deal. Whenever we come back near this 1.618, this should be concrete. You know, like anything in this region right here, let's just say like either touching the 1.618 or just under, this is my bid spot. And I just layered bids down here. And every single time we dipped, like that was concrete, you know? Maybe I was the bid, maybe it was other people, maybe it was the fib. I don't know. I don't care. Right. Like the point is I had technical analysis and, you know, I respected it. As scary as some of these dips felt, you know, I mean, look at like the lower time frames. As scary as some of these dips felt, like right here, you know, this will make the most convicted technician kind of, you know, quiver a little bit. You're like, oh man, is this thing just going to waterfall? Like, is this a complacency shoulder? And by the way, that's why I see a lot of people, you know, looking at PEPE going, oh, it's a complacency shoulder. And I'm like, dude, nah, you know, crypto has a famous way of making the most obvious technical patterns completely obsolete, right? Like, I mean, how about Bitcoin, right? You know, looking back at this pattern here for Bitcoin, I mean, this was like a soft toss head and shoulders, right? Remember Michael Burry put out the tweet? You know, he was like, "Oh yeah, this is, you know, head and shoulders." Michael Burry, famous short seller, and then it's like back from the dead, you know? I mean, if the pattern is too obvious, it doesn't play out. That's a rule of thumb. Like it needs to be obvious enough to see it, but you know, look, you got to understand the context is key with everything. So this 1.618 is playing. I think that this is concrete, and I also think what we're doing right now is, you know, we spent looks like almost 2 months basically like accumulating right here on top of this 1.618. And we'll just call this demand. And then I got another chart I'm going to make for you guys about this. We'll put it inside. We'll put it on the right. So what we're doing right now, like as scary as the chart seems, we're coming back in after reaccumulating for, you know, well over a month on top of a high time frame SR level being the 1.618 fib on the high time frames. And we've come back now to dip our toe into this demand region, which, and by the way, when I say demand, it just basically means support. Like there was more buying than selling in here. Eventually sellers got exhausted. They threw in the towel. It caused this pump. All right. So this is previous demand that caused a pump. We come back in. We're just chilling on top of this demand. Like people are freaking out and like emotionally capitulating. I'm cool as a cucumber crash. I will tell you, like, there's nothing to worry about right now. Like if we saw the chart do this, all right, if we saw this and we flip under this 1.618 and I start to see this, we're toast, you know, then it's time to worry. There is literally nothing to worry about right here, man. Like from a technical perspective, you're printing bull divs on your BTC pair as you were so kind to show. And then on the USD pair, we're sitting on top of the 1.618 on the high time frame, retesting high time frame demand. It's a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. Like this is a literal ticking time bomb. Like you're going to continue to just, I mean, you can already see it, right? Like you can see how, you know, we set that kind of capitulatory low and we popped up because markets are reflexive. And now we're just like, we just set another low and we're just chilling here. Like this is going to break soon. And the markets are going to explode. And I'd love to show you Crash. I've done some analysis on this before publicly. You know, why is Caspa doing what it's doing, right? Like it was such a strong performer for so long. You know, and now it's just, you know, people are getting so frustrated. Like, oh, Caspa, like I should be in these meme coins and, you know, I should even just be in Bitcoin. Like, well, it's driving me crazy. You know, I mean, you've probably seen the sentiment online. Like price is not capitulating. People are emotionally capitulating. And I don't even think that covers half of it. That's not even doing it justice. But what I want to talk about, and I'm going to show this next example and we'll talk about it, is, you know, just like we were looking at Litecoin, you know, when does Litecoin typically pump? We identified 3 key areas, right? You know, in the beginning of alt season, at basically the cycle top, you know, Bitcoin's about to global top. And also it has historically marked a bottom, a high time frame bottom. Caspa, although I think it has premier fundamentals over a lot of these other mid-cap altcoins, Caspa is unfortunately still a mid-cap altcoin. And just because Caspa is smarter and faster and better doesn't mean that as a 30-year-old, it gets to walk into a Fortune 500 business and skip middle management and go right to the C-suites, and go right to CFO, CMO, CEO level, right? You have to work your way through the ranks, and think of the ranks as the CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, market cap listings. If you want Caspa to be top 10, well, then it's first got to be top 50. Then it's going to be top 40, then 30, then 20. And eventually we work our way up that chain by proving ourselves over many, many months and years. So when I look at this and I say to myself, like, okay, why is Caspa doing what it's doing? All right, well, let's take a look at let's take a look at some mid cap alts from last cycle that did rise through the ranks to become top performers. All right, so we're going to look at ADA. All right, let's go to ADA. And we are going to go on let's just do like weekly for now, and we'll find our spot. Okay. And we'll go down a little bit. Let's check out the 3-day. All right. Now below ADA here, I'm going to put up Bitcoin. All right. We're going to remove all these oscillators. We don't need them. We're going to put down here Bitcoin. And what else am I going to do is I'm going to put on the Bitcoin previous cycle all-time high. All right. So this was previous cycle all-time high. All right. And we're going to, let's just do this here. We'll just extend this. That's fine. All right. And now we're going to do the same thing for Caspa. And I promise I'm going to make it look a little bit cleaner for you guys, as I always do. Trust and believe. Let's put Caspa on, see how the 2-day looks. All right. So Caspa is obviously young, but we know that last cycle's all-time high was 69K. All right, so 69,000, and this was, previous cycle all-time high. Again, sorry if the typing is super loud, guys. All right, let's do this. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move Bitcoin up on both. Because why is Caspa doing what it's doing? Well, we're going to talk about that. We'll make Bitcoin orange. All right. So here's Caspa. All right. And now we're going to look at ADA. We're going to do the exact same thing over here, except I got to put these back on so I can move it down. I promise it'll be worth the wait, guys. It's pretty clear. And this is just to show why I'm so bullish on mid-cap altcoins here. And Caspa, by the way, is a premier example of that. It is doing exactly what mid-cap altcoins have historically done in previous cycles. So let's take a look at ADA when Bitcoin last cycle was just kind of chopping around its previous cycle all-time high. All right, let's actually do this. Okay, so last cycle, as Bitcoin was moving up to its previous cycle all-time high, what was ADA doing? Let me just make these a little neater. All right, ADA was in an absolute chop fest, guys. Like ADA was doing nothing, man. ADA was just getting obliterated. Like, look at what Bitcoin was doing down here, man. Bitcoin went from 10K all the way up to 20K in this spot right here. And what did ADA do, man? ADA basically did this. ADA did this garbage. It bled. It didn't do anything. All right, you did not want to hold ADA. And at this time, ADA's bleeding. So ADA USD bleeds from 15 cents to 7 cents. That's a 50% bleed when Bitcoin goes up 100% last cycle. All right, now what's Caspa doing right now? So Bitcoin, again, chatting up to the all-time high, looking good. Similar to last cycle, it's just basically sitting there kind of waiting to find its footing. Let's just move this down a little bit. And what's Caspa doing? Caspa is doing the same thing. It's just bleeding down, nothing great is happening. So we're doing exactly what mid-cap altcoins do every cycle. And by the way, this is not exclusive to ADA. I'm just using ADA because it was a mid-cap altcoin that rose through the ranks and did particularly well last cycle. Mid-cap altcoins get destroyed when Bitcoin pauses under the previous cycle all-time high, which again, we did right here as well. I'll line up the time frames. Let's go back now. They're both on the 2-day. I didn't mean to not put them on the same time frame. It's the exact same thing, guys. Like it is precisely the same thing. Bitcoin moves up, chops under the all-time high. I mean, look at how similar this is right here. Like this chop that we're seeing, Bitcoin swept the previous all-time high and then spent like, let's see, so November 20th to December, about a month dinking around under the previous cycle all-time high, as shown right here. Mid-cap alts get destroyed. And then when Bitcoin finally decides it's going to stop messing around and just chads upward like this, and we'll put it in blue, look at what happens to ADA. Then ADA goes on to pull a 10x in like, 2 or 3 months. All right. So when Bitcoin finally decides to stop monkeying around and just chads up to 100K or wherever it ends up going, what you're going to see is Caspa dramatically outperform that of Bitcoin. Similarly to how Crash is showing that Litecoin is most probabilistically primed to outperform Bitcoin. Caspa is not exactly what I would call, a mid-cap altcoin, but kind of. It's not Bitcoin, it's not ETH, it's not Sol. It's been around for a long time, but it's not like a top 5 project, and it's certainly not sexy. All right. But there's a time and a place for everything. And if the colors don't highlight it perfectly, let me know. But I mean, I look at this chart right here, guys, and I say Caspa is doing what mid-cap altcoins always do. Plus, we have the confluence that Crash was showing where Caspa BTC is printing bull divs. I was explaining to you how Caspa USD is also sitting on a 1.618 fib, retesting high time frame demand. And then, of course, we can, even apply a fractal to this. I mean, hell, it even looks similar, right? Like I don't even have to massage it like crazy. Like this kind of looks similar, how we popped up here. I haven't even massaged this, right? But we're kind of doing the same thing right here, more or less. So
this is amazing.
Oh, thank you, Crash. Sorry, I've just been going, man. You got to cut me off or I'll just speak for an hour. But it's this. There's so much confluence coming to a head here, man. And it's Bitcoin is the puppet master. Like all of this stuff is going to chop and frustrate you and shake you out until we get that blue box right there. Until Bitcoin definitively goes into price discovery, not the little bit that we've had already, but definitively. All right. Definitively bust through the all-time high. Then you see what happens to mid-cap altcoins. Caspa pulls a 10x in 90 days. Can ADA pulls a 10x in 90 days. Could Caspa pull a 10x in 90 days? Well, ADA did last cycle. Why can't Caspa? Why can't Caspa? And I've got another chart for that as well. Here, let's look at Caspa. Let's do MEXC. That's fine. So, looking at these fibs, guys, like we talked about how, this fib is going to play, and it's already playing, right? Like, these fibs are valid because of how the first one played. Again, you can learn as much from like a rejection or a hold as you can, a blast off. But I look at this and I go, all right, first swing high to first swing low. We break out of the range. We flip the 1.618. We're now retesting previous demand right here on top of our high time frame 1.618. I'm pretty sure that this 3.618 is going to play here on Caspa, and it could happen quickly. Similarly to how ADA performed last cycle, and literally in a stretch of 3 months, I mean, maybe a little bit more. Let's see. It took 98 days for ADA to basically pull a 10x. 98 days. Okay. So everyone feels like, oh, Caspa's churning. It's not, it's loading is what it's doing, guys. It's loading. And you might be looking at this going, well, why would this 3.618 play, right? Like this is silly. Why do these fibs even matter? Let me show you the best example, speaking of mid-cap altcoins, from last cycle that played perfectly on these fibs. It was one of our favorites, Solana. And I've already got this up. As you can see, it's one of my favorite examples. Look at what Solana did last cycle, guys. First major swing high to swing low. We flipped the 1.618. Does this look familiar? And then we hit the 2.618 and we global topped to the penny at the 3.618. Is it a conspiracy? Is it a coincidence? Nope, it's just technical analysis. So I ask everybody, why can't we hit the 3.618? Why is everybody so bearish and only expecting, 40 cents? Everything, as long as we're actually in a bull market, which, again, there's a possibility that I'm missing something and you're missing something, and we're not about to, go into a major raging bull market, then I guess, if we are in a bull market, I think you have to look beyond the 2.618. I think you have to look at the 3.618, knowing, between these examples, when midcap altcoins start to send and Bitcoin goes into price discovery, and again, we have a halving in 2.5 weeks, ADA last cycle pulled a 10x in 98 days. A 10x from here for Caspa would basically be like right here at the 3.618, 900%. So anyways, Crash, I'm gonna just shut up now, man. I've been going for a while, but it's looking good, man. It's looking really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, the way you just painted those two charts side by side, like, how could someone not see that? That gave me a lot more confidence too, and I've never seen that perspective of how it's downtrending as Bitcoin's uptrending into the all-time high. Like, that stuff is next level, bro. I don't see anyone else showing that stuff, and it's like, bro, look at that. It's the pattern. To me, patterns are like everything, and we are pretty similar on that, where we're constantly looking at patterns. And to me, patterns is like, that's like the number one factor for me, right? So like double
Yeah.
bottoms or stuff like this, right, where you can clearly see, move for move how things are going down and playing out. So that's why we're bullish on Caspa. Now, we'll see which one outperforms, Caspa or Litecoin, So imagine though Litecoin ended up outperforming it, or maybe Caspa outperforms it. Like, we're going to see, but either way, right? See, I think Litecoin, based on its chart, should outperform Caspa short to medium term. So imagine Caspa goes up 10x, then maybe Litecoin does go up 15x, 20x. Sounds a little crazy, but it really could happen. But either way, like, we're mapping out the possibilities for both charts. I'm bullish on both. I think both will do well. So one of these is going to outperform probably for us, right? And just positioning for both. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, we need to just be flexible and not marry any biases. Like right now, I look at this and I go, I'm interested in Caspa because it's a fresh chart. I feel like it might get a little bit more attention. It could get, big listings like a Coinbase listing or something eventually. But at the same time, if the Litecoin Caspa chart, which we talked about earlier, begins to perk up and Litecoin looks better than Caspa, who am I to say? Like, why should the market give me what I want and what I feel? That's not up to me. I just look at the data and read and react, and it sounds like you're in the same boat, Crash. So, yeah, I mean, what we're waiting for, guys, is just this blue zone. That's everything too. Like PEPE, all your on-chain alts, like everything it's like kind of performing well, right? Like it's doing okay. But what you're really looking for is like a Bitcoin dominance capitulation, and that's only going to happen when Bitcoin makes its next leg up. Like, we need Bitcoin above 80K, and then we're going to have a lot of fun. But until then, it's going to feel a little bit frustrating. But I think that we're getting close, right? I think we are getting pretty close.
Yeah, it already is frustrating. And that's the thing, like, when things feel frustrating, a lot of times that's how you know you're close,
Yeah.
right? So,
Do you have your
man,
chart up in the background? I see something moving. You want to share that?
yeah, I do have. I just pulled up the Bitcoin dominance chart. We could take a look at this real quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
I got you. You're up.
okay, yeah. So it does look like on the weekly time frame, we're kind of having bearish divergence. Kind of. It's a little iffy. It's a little questionable to say. Um, So it is kind of hard to say. Like, do you have analysis on why Bitcoin dominance is likely near a top? Is what
I
I feel
do.
like. You
Yeah.
could say maybe it's coming up to this level right here soon, and it will, if it pumps out to that level, right, with right here bearish divergence, that could be the top there. And then bam, as we come down like that, there's your alt season, right? That we were waiting so patiently for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like I guess I'm not in this camp. Like I think it's almost, I don't mean to insult anybody. I think it's a little mid-curve to just say like, oh, well, there's Bitcoin ETFs, therefore we won't have an alt season and Bitcoin dominance will go up forever. I'm hedged on that in case I'm wrong. Like I have Bitcoin L2s like STX and I have Bitcoin puppets, which are a good hedge. Because if we get, Bitcoin dominance rally higher than I expect, I want to have some Bitcoin exposure to that ecosystem. And I do, but I am of the opinion that it does roll over, like maybe one more push up, and then probably straight down for like 3 to 6 months. And that is when it kicks off, like, on the previous chart I showed, Caspa pulls a 10x in 90 to 100 days, like ADA did last cycle. That's when your altcoins really perform well. That's when it's like, everybody's a genius season, is when this chart that Crash has up, when that divergence plays, if it plays, that's when it's like just throw money at any altcoin and like you're a
Yeah,
genius.
so
Yeah.
much money flowing around, and it takes literally very little money to push these things up. And so think about that. Like, I know you're in Bobo and some other memes. I know you're also in Brett, right? And like,
Yeah.
look at how these things are holding up right now. Like, I remember there was a time where like, any meme coins in the bear market, when they would pump, as soon as Bitcoin starts to make a downturn like it is now, man, these things would nuke 90% like right away. And now we're finally in a time where the meme coins don't just nuke 90% just because Bitcoin slowed down, right? Like if we were in a bear market, this is what happens. 90% dip as soon as Bitcoin stops moving. And now like you just see these top memes are holding up so well. Meanwhile, you do have those memes that are still dumping 90%. Those are the pump and dumps, right? That just they're not going to be around likely. So now you're starting to see these more risky, right? By, I guess, most standards, more risky meme coins are actually holding up with Bitcoin really well. And they're really showing you like there's levels to meme coins too. Like there are the top ones, and then there are the ones that are just going to zero, right? Like pump and dumps. Just, a couple influencers call it out and then, they just dump it and it's over.
Yeah.
But, you're also starting to see now within the timing and the cycle where Bitcoin's hovering around these all-time highs, and we do feel like it should break out, right?
Yeah.
Is you're starting to see the meme coins are starting to separate themselves, like the top ones from not the top ones, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know what these meme coins are, but like, are these going to be around in the future? Probably not. Like, right? And so then it's pretty easy now. This is the time where you got to be looking and seeing like what meme coins are really establishing themselves to actually push up with that extra liquidity that we could have in an alt season
Yeah.
based on that Bitcoin dominance chart. Because if these things are already performing like this now, imagine how these things are going to be performing in an actual altcoin season when Bitcoin dominance is dropping.
Yeah.
So when these things are holding up this well, right? They're not dumping 90%. No, they're holding and they're staying correlated to Bitcoin, and they're actually outperforming Bitcoin even, right?
Yeah.
It's an insane thing to think that we're up this much before this happens.
Yeah, exactly. And it's literally like you're in my head, man. It's people always ask me on these meme plays or altcoin plays, they're like, when are you gonna sell? Are you nervous? Like you're up a bunch, I'm like, absolutely, I don't care what I'm up, man. Like, first of all, it's a number on a screen. I took the trade for different reasons, right? Like this is the thesis, is that typically, meme coins get the best movement when Bitcoin dominance is capitulating, like you have drawn here. And actually, I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean. And I'll give it back if you want to share it. But
Yeah,
I'd
no, I
like
want to
to,
watch.
I'd like to show you guys what I'm talking about. So like the backbone of all of this, like all of the meme ecosystem is Doge. Similarly to how Bitcoin determines, when altcoins go, Doge, in my opinion, determines when meme coins that are not like total micro caps, when they go. But let's put up Bitcoin dominance here on the bottom. So we have Doge up top and we have Bitcoin dominance on the bottom. All right. And I'll make Bitcoin dominance in candles. I just like how it looks better. But this is what Crash is talking about here, guys. Like When do we get the best performance from Doge? It's when Bitcoin dominance is literally nuking. Like it has most of its returns once Bitcoin dominance rolls over. We haven't even done that yet, guys. Like this part of the cycle right here happens when Bitcoin dominance does this. Like we are potentially in like inning 2 of alt season, which feels crazy because it was a long bear market and people carry that weight with them. But how could you look at this and think like, oh man, like it's time to exit my beta plays? You got to give it a chance. Taking profits is never a bad thing, but don't take profits because of how much you're up necessarily. It should be more based and rooted around a piece of high time frame information that is indicating to you that the cycle is nearing an end. And I'm not looking at this chart right here, this data, and thinking we're seeing the signs of the cycle coming to a close. We have the halving in 2.5 weeks crash, and Bitcoin dominance has been in an 18-month uptrend. And people are asking me if I'm going to sell my altcoins. If you paid me twice the value of my altcoins right now, nay, 3 times the value of my altcoins right now to exit the market entirely, I wouldn't take it because I think that they're going to do better than that because of this chart right here.
Fucking legend, bro. Dude, people should be paying you like $10,000 for what you're showing them right now, because I'm not even kidding. This chart that you put up in front of people right now will, if they understood that, they would make so much more money. Like, seriously. Like, this chart right here could be the difference between you making $5 million or like being out of the market right now with like a $10,000 profit. Like, I don't think people understand the value there, bro.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I love to help people, man, and that's the thing. Like I obviously, like, I have a business and I'm here to make money, but I really enjoy like sharing this knowledge with people because when I first entered these markets, I didn't have good resources, as I'm sure you didn't either. Like most people don't when you're a beginner, and you kind of have to go through that process alone, and you have to try to sift through a bunch of garbage to figure out where to look and like how to understand these markets. And I mean, I'm sitting here, Crash is sitting here. I don't know how long you've been trading for, Crash. I can only assume multiple years based on the elevated discussion that we're having. And same with me. We're here, we've been here for an hour and 12 minutes, like just literally showing you guys what we're going to do next and like what we expect next. And Crash has been wrong before. I've been wrong before. Like we're traders, nobody's perfect. I don't have a crystal ball, but you know, if you can be right just a little bit more than you're wrong, and you can be right in a big way once or twice, and strike while it's hot and understand contextually where you are and know when to put your foot down, pedal to the metal, you can change your life, and what feels better than making a little bit of money, quickly is getting DMs from people being like, dude, you just like provided so much clarity. Like I was so anxious, like some guy was doom posting and like you just helped me. Like, thank you so much. Like now I have this new skill. That shit feels nice, man. Like that's what it's about. Honestly, that's what it's about.
Dude, the number one reason, like if you look at like mine and your engagement on socials and how much people rock with us, it's because people make a lot of money probably, right? Like the more people make money following you or being around you, the more they like you. And conversely, or no, inversely, I should say, if people are losing money around you, then they're not gonna like your posts. They're not gonna like your shit. Like they don't want to be around you. They'll hate on you instead. So even when we make money, man, even if we give people like 100x, a 300x, whatever, there still will be some people who lose money. But for the most part, majority of people right around us are making money, and that's how you have a happy, atmosphere, and that's how you have happy people. So like that's the key. Number one thing every day I'm looking at these charts. I'm thinking, how do I make money for myself and also the people around who are watching? And if you do that, then everything is freaking great,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like looking at this chart, and I actually would like to go a little bit deeper. People ask me about Pepe. Like Pepe is one that, I let's see, new price scale. Like I've been in Pepe for a long time. That's kind of like how people started noticing me on X somewhat recently, is like I was posting a lot of Pepe analysis, like
Yeah, that's how I found you. was
Yeah,
the
that was
Pepe
it too. Like at the
news.
stone cold lows, like over here, I was like, this is your capitulation. Like Pepe's about to go. So you look at this chart, right? And just understand that the reason I'm bullish Pepe, like I love the memes, like I love the Pepe verse, like all that stuff. We can get into some of that too. Even though every time I do, someone's mad at me for not talking about their bag, but whatever. It's nothing personal. You look at this chart, it's all paired against Doge, right? Like, how's your altcoin going to perform? Check out Bitcoin. How's your meme coin going to do? Well, check out Doge, right? Like you can see the correlation between Doge up top, and here I'll put Doge in a little different color just so it's more clear. But here's Doge up top, here's Pepe down below. You can see that like these highs and lows kind of like form at the same time. So, am I bullish Pepe? Well, the question goes back further. Am I bearish Bitcoin dominance and bullish Bitcoin USD? Because if I'm bullish Bitcoin USD, and I think that Bitcoin dominance is about to nuke, which I do, then that means that, look at the Doge chart, guys. Then that means that Doge is about to go absolutely nuts. And if Doge goes nuts, then Pepe, which is basically like levered Doge, is going to go even more nuts. So it's like people they get caught up in like the 4-hour chart and they're like, oh man, like that looks bad. Oh man, I got to sell. And I'm like, dude, like we haven't even had this yet. How could I be bearish anything that's an altcoin if we haven't even had this Bitcoin dominance drop yet? Here's Pepe down below here, guys. Like I know we don't have a ton of like price history. It's young, but basically think of Pepe as 5 times leveraged Doge, and then think of Bobo as 5 times leveraged Pepe, and then think of Brett as 5 times leveraged Bobo. It's just kind of like it goes further down the chain, like the younger that the project is. And that's what I'm always explaining to people. So they're like, I got in some of these new projects recently, like really deep in the trenches, right? Like here's the thing, Crash. I don't even know. I need some advice from you, man. Like I post this analysis, right? And like I try to share it, and then people get super mad at me for talking about meme coins that they don't hold, and then they're like, "Oh, you're pumping the chart, bro." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm just sharing my analysis and people like it and they're receptive to it." So like I'm almost even scared to talk about this stuff anymore, because it's like I just don't want to deal with all like the random crap that gets thrown at me for posting free analysis. So maybe I'll just
Yeah.
stick with Doge and Pepe, but I don't know.
I would try to focus on like, it really depends, because like when you and I are looking at these charts, we're looking at like a bigger time frame picture, and
Yeah.
so it's like you just got to make sure you really are set on those winners that are going to win on the bigger time picture if we're focused on the bigger time picture charts, right? And then there's other people who can like focus more on like the short-term flips, and that's cool with their audience. Their audience gets it. So it's just like it depends on the audience you have.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
that's true.
the way I'm positioned, I'm just fully about the long-term winners. Like my bag in Bobo is like around 1.2, 1.3 million. And that's before Bitcoin dominance drops. Like
Yeah,
that's literally a 10
that's
million
crazy.
plus dollar bag, bro. Like easy,
Crazy.
you know? Then Brett, over $4 million bag there. That's easily a 40 million plus dollar bag. I feel like once Bitcoin dominance starts rolling over. So that's why like I have no reason to mess around in like these pump and dumps and these shorter time frame plays, because I'm freaking positioned for this big move. And the biggest money is made on the long-term time frame, not on a 1 minute or a 1 day candle. The biggest moves take time to unfold. And so if I want to make the biggest money possible, I got to focus on how you make the biggest money. It's on the big term time frame, right?
Yeah.
Positioning and stuff that's really gonna make waves. And so this is what I think a lot of people, bro, like, so me and you were talking about Caspa and Litecoin and Bitcoin dominance in these charts, and I see a lot of people are like, just talk about memes already. It's
Yeah.
like, guys, this is why you're probably not that good at memes, possibly some of you, is because you can't actually look at like the bigger picture first before you actually go into your memes. If you had a more solid understanding of these charts, if you had a more solid understanding of Caspa, Litecoin, Bitcoin dominance, DXY, you looked at all these correlations and all these other things outside of your meme coins, then going into your meme coins, you'd have a way stronger understanding of how that all ties into the cycle and where you actually are, how much upside do you truly and objectively have. And so while a lot of you guys are tunnel visioned only on meme coins and not actually any chart knowledge, like outside of meme coins, like you're trading at a huge disadvantage to like myself and Max, where me and Max will be selling the top of the cycle close to it or scaling out near it. Meanwhile, you're just going to be looking at the green candles FOMOing in and buying the top. A lot of people, right? Thinking it's going to go way higher then, not realizing, no, now is the time where stuff can go a lot higher. And as you start to think things are going to go a lot higher then, like, no, that's when we're already starting to pull out, and starting to scale out. So
yeah, bro, like when I see Bitcoin dominance, okay, so like let's just do a hypothetical here, right? Like going off what you're saying. So we'll bring Pepe down here. We got Doge, up at the very top. When I start to see, if I see Doge go up to like, $2 or something like that, it seems crazy, but just wait, we'll see. And I see Pepe go up to, like let's just say 50 to 100 billion market cap. All right. And I see Bitcoin dominance starting to like form a low, later this year after dropping like
that's
crazy.
when you're taking profit.
Dude, I'm out. I'm full stack jeeting my entire bag in like 5 minutes, like the whole thing. And I'll tell everybody publicly, I'll go on Twitter and be like, this is exactly why I'm doing it. I have zero exposure to the long side now, but I hope your bags keep going up. But I'm seeing the signs. Like, and it's, yeah. And then people, they'll get mad at me and be like, you're bailing. And I'll be like, dude, it's all data. It's all data. Like, it's not about that. Like, you just need to know the signs. So it's like when I start to see, and actually I'm kind of curious here. Let me see. Are there like, let me see if we can do this real quick. Bitcoin dominance. We put Bitcoin dominance up here. What if we threw the RSI up there as well? Is this thing going to print some like pretty clear like bottom signals? Let's see. So RSI, let's see. Global bottom. Yeah, low key over here. So let's actually do this. I'll remove these drawings. Save those for later. So this is the weekly time frame. All right, we're in log. That's fine. Do you like this moving average here, Crash? I don't like this thing at all.
I never use that.
It's like not how you use RSI. It feels like a gimmick, but anyways, all right. So on the weekly time frame, you can see here that we did print some monster weekly bull divs here.
Yeah.
And then let's see last cycle here. Yeah, bro, look at these two. Very, very interesting. Like, look at these clear weekly bull divs. If I see this, guys, like the exact same thing, and here, let me pull this up here. I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. We're gonna look at total, and we're gonna put it right up there with it, man. So we're gonna go. Oops, we'll do candles first. And then we'll make these blue for total. And we'll put it in log. And then we will move to existing pane above. All right. So at the top, we have Bitcoin dominance, which again, Bitcoin literally still is the king. Like I know everybody likes to think that like their altcoin is, like independent of Bitcoin. It's not. Like your altcoin is absolutely tethered, no pun intended, to Bitcoin. But look at how Bitcoin dominance, the weekly bull divs that Crash was explaining earlier. Look how they basically call the top of the top of the cycle. Like look at these divs right here, man, on total. Like look at how they play, So Bitcoin dominance printing, and here I'll make these red just so we can identify the divs I'm talking about, because this is obviously total. So I'll put my bull divs in red. I should have made them green, but whatever. So you can see that when we start printing consecutive weekly time frame bull divs after months of drawdown on Bitcoin dominance, that's the cycle top, guys. So I'm telling you right now, like, why would this time be different? We're going to see, something like this. We're going to roll over like this. And then we're probably going to, do something like this and print like another low and then another low. And then it'll be Bitcoin season again. And what you're going to see on the RSI is something like this. So we're going to see it drop down, and then you're going to see it come up and print, more bull divs like this. And similarly to last cycle, guys, this is going to be your get out of the market sign, is when Bitcoin dominance is printing weekly bull divs, just like the last two cycles. So I'm just saying, like, these are the clear signs. I haven't seen them yet. I haven't seen the risk off signs yet, but here it is in broad daylight for everybody.
Yep. So, and like, think about it. Like, most people, they don't look at this stuff at all. Like, they're just completely blind in the market. They don't have any long-term time frame that they're paying attention to have accuracy and confidence in what's actually taking place. So, like, majority of people, they hear about crypto, they come into the market, they buy the green candles, then they hold it down 90%, and well, try again next time. Hopefully, you're even around. Oh, but the thing is, most people, they're not even going to stick around once things are down 90%. So yeah, it's just like to all the people here watching this live, man, like this is the type of stuff that separates you and from being a guy with like a $10,000 net worth or being a guy by the end of the cycle with like a 30 million plus dollar net worth. Like it really too, like if you can't even go 1 mile to just pay attention to the stuff we're trying to show you, like you're just going to be completely clueless in the market. Like this is the stuff that actually gives you confidence and gives you understanding of the market. More than 99% of people. So I always say it. Like you got to do what is going to separate you and make you the top 1%, the top 0.1%. 99% of people, they don't actually understand these charts. They don't actually understand what we're looking at. So that's why they're the 99%. Your job is to try to be the 1%, top 0.1%. So you have to learn how to read this. You have to learn how to see this. I don't know if Max has a charting course or anything. If he does, you got to take it. And if he has a Discord, join it. Like whatever he has, I guarantee you, like that value is going to be there. And yeah, like this is the type of stuff you got to look at. So
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that, Crash. I do, yeah, guys, I do have some stuff if you want to learn more. I do have a Discord. You can go to my Twitter, it's in the bio. It is expensive, but it's worth it. We had to jack the price up because it was getting kind of crowded, and we like to give everybody the necessary attention. We also do have a trading course that's coming out probably this week. So we will let you guys know about that too. But yeah, I mean, this stuff is, it's taken a long time to learn. And like, honestly, I just love teaching, and I know Crash does too. But Crash, you got anything else, man? Anything you want to cover while we're here? No pressure.
Yeah, we'll talk lastly about. I think let's wrap it up with like Bobo, Brett, and
Yeah,
Pepe,
let's do it. Let's do it.
because I feel like these are like our main meme plays, and these are the ones that I
And
expect.
as they should be, because they've showed so much strength even while there's market turbulence. So it's pretty impressive.
And so once again, like we showed you that Bitcoin dominance, while majority won't even pay attention or try to understand why that's important, they're clueless, bro. But as dominance rolls over, right? That's how we can have confidence in the direction of this market ultimately over the coming 6 to 18 months, right? It's because that, and it's because of other factors. So it's like the way I see it is like 10 billion plus has to be programmed based on the charts, like minimum, like that's absolute worst case. Like how crazy is that? Like you can almost guarantee a 3x plus on your money. Like in what markets can you almost guarantee yourself a 3x plus? Like almost nowhere, bro. Stock market, good luck trying to guarantee yourself a 3x on the S&P 500, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm going to take advantage of the rare market in the world where you can actually almost guarantee your success if you're on top of the charts. And so if Pepe is like guaranteed to be at 10 billion, I don't know where the market cap will be there, right? It's like if I am 99.9999999% confident Pepe will be above a 10 billion market cap at some point, that's literally free money. Like I just feel so comfortable in my analysis, the analysis you've shown. And so if Pepe, let's look at Pepe, by the way. Let's zoom in on the smaller term time frame. And I want people to see this, for example. So Pepe on this recent low, right there is bounced about 5%. Brett in that same time frame bounced around 28% to now 13-14%. Bobo from the low has bounced 14% to as high as 21%. So you can just very clearly see that Bobo and Brett are bouncing harder than Pepe when they move up. So if I feel confident that Pepe has to go to 10 billion plus, then I just know, like, once again, Bobo and Brett are a leverage bet on that to me. And once again, where memes are really going to start to outperform is like we talked about, when Bitcoin dominance starts to roll over. That's when Dogecoin actually starts moving. Like, that's the thing, we haven't even started moving. So if Dogecoin goes up 5x, Pepe goes up 10x, then you almost have a programmed run for these two. One, minimum match that, I feel like,
Yeah.
but right when you can almost guarantee that you're going to match the results, then anything above that is cherry on top and extra money for you, right?
Yeah.
So I hold all of them. I just know that, these have the chance to make a lot more X's. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, if I'm right about Pepe, like you love to say, if you're right about Bitcoin, you're right about Doge, and you're right about Pepe, then, like,
Yeah.
I guess it's just, I don't know, it's really clear. And I just want people to see the bigger picture, because a lot of people are going to screw themselves out of making a lot of money because they look at this smaller term time. Like, see, the way I've already programmed, like, in my mind, this will be above 10 billion.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit about the small term time frame. Like, it's literally just noise. It's just the chart moving on its way to actually going above 10 billion. So once you have that level of confidence, like, this stuff doesn't bother you. It's opportunity, it's an entry, and you just having confidence when you go to sleep is amazing, because I feel
Yeah.
bad for the people, like, who can't go to sleep on their positions,
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah. And Brett's rise recently, I think it's leading the market, right? Like, I look at Brett and I just go, this was kind of the first mover of like the Pepe verse. And it's going to be the one that probably sets that ceiling for what is possible for a lot of the other memes that, again, are not rugs and actually go on to do well. Because I mean, you're looking at Brett on base that is, what's it, half a bill, more than half a billion market cap, between 5 and 700 million market cap roughly. And it's basically just reaccumulating on top of like a monster accumulation range,
yep,
as Bitcoin and ETH are looking terrible and it's actually holding up well. um, you have to look at that and just go, this cycle so far has been dominated by meme coins. And I think that's because of the distaste, the really sour taste that some of these VC projects left in everybody's mouth after last cycle, how they just dumped on everybody and just, they're like not crypto natives that just come into our space for the volatility and then just dump their crap on us. People have been flocking to these strong community oriented projects, like a Brett, or a Bobo or a Pepe or some, other smaller ones that, my community knows that I've been talking about, as really ultra high risk beta plays to Doge, to Pepe, to Bobo, under the assumption that, like you mentioned, Crash, if Doge goes up 5x, Pepe's going up at least 10x. If Pepe goes up 10x, Bobo's going up 20x. If Bobo goes up 20x, you keep going down that line, and it all stems back to Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance. So, again, like, I know we talked about, guys, like, we talked about Litecoin, we talked about Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance, and you probably just wanted us to talk about, like, a lot of small cap meme coins and stuff, but like, the reason we're bullish Brett and Bobo and Pepe and Andy on ETH and Moo and all these other Dodo, like all these ones I've talked about, is because of Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance, guys. Like, I have the pairs all set up. If you watched my video yesterday, again, it's all pair trading against Pepe, which is pair trading against Doge, which is what Crash is showing here and we're talking about. So it's just one giant beta play to Bitcoin, all of it, every single thing.
exactly, bro. So yeah, like, and that's why we took all that time. Like, we literally just talked about what people will go out and say, oh, it's boring to talk about Bitcoin and this other stuff. Just talk about the memes. Well, guys, because if you actually understand those things that we talked about, then this is now programmed. Like, this is now, you can be confident on these positions, which 99% of people don't have actually true confidence. I mean, actually, that depends. I mean, if you follow me or Max, you probably do have the confidence because you actually understanding why this works and how it's all coming together. But most people, they don't understand how this all comes together. If you don't understand it all, then you're not going to actually be able to realize the potential of these plays, right? So that's why Like that's the coolest thing when you have someone like me or Max who actually is looking at the big picture. We're looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin dominance, and all these other things into our meme coin analysis. Like, because like a lot of the guys in meme coins, bro, they don't know how to read a fucking chart of Bitcoin. They don't know jack shit about that other stuff.
Yeah.
They just hype up meme coins and say it's going to the moon, but they don't actually understand how it all ties together and why it really works the way it works. So, yeah, bro.
And
Seriously,
on
you're
top
following
of
me
that,
here from one.
and
What's
on
up?
top of that, Crash, like if you don't understand all of this stuff in the beginning that people think is boring, like Litecoin, Bitcoin pairs, Bitcoin dominance, like if you don't understand that, then when Brett, which is destined for probably, multi-billion, if not decabillion, assuming we do get, Doge that continues to pump and Pepe pumps, and like this thesis that Crash and I share is correct. When you get a local pullback like this, can you give me the percentage that we've pulled back so far from the high just here
Yeah,
on Brett? So we've pulled back
20.
25% roughly from high to low, which by the way, in meme coin world is literally nothing. Like that's nothing. Like you shouldn't even be nervous about that. Seriously. But if you don't understand the stuff that is like a little bit more boring and like what's actually the underpinning of these memes and why they're moving, which is Bitcoin, Bitcoin dominance, altcoin pairs, what, mid-cap altcoins do when Bitcoin is choppy under the all-time high. We've talked about all this. Then when we get a 25% pullback on a coin that's destined for potentially billions in market cap, then you sell your bag because you panic and you go, oh, I don't want to give all my gains back. Oh no, I'm too nervous. So you have to understand why it's doing what it's doing and also what to look at for when it's going to move next, and that's why we started where we did. And we didn't even intentionally do that, but I'm happy that we did crash because, are you nervous about a 25% pullback when Bitcoin dominance is about to do this? Hell
Nope.
no.
And also,
Hell no.
here's another factor I'll point out that's crazy about Brett is like it has had an incredible ascent. And despite that, right, you would think when you go up this much in a short period of time, you would have the most amount of profit takers and the most amount of people waiting to sell because it hasn't filtered out. But even despite that, being a newer coin, you're supposed to be more volatile. And even being a newer coin going up like 300x, it's only pulling back 25%. Bobo's pulling back 28%. And Pepe is pulling back 34% from the high. Like, actually, this is crazy because not
Yeah.
only are these things outperforming to the upside, for right now, they're actually showing so much strength that they're
Yeah.
actually outperforming Pepe to the downside, which actually that's something I didn't even notice until just now when we just highlighted that. So not only are we outperforming on the way down, we're outperforming on the way up. Like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It is crazy. And actually I'd love to just show a couple pairs and then we can pop back to you. So guys,
Yeah.
this is a visualization of we will all right, let's do this. So let's go over here. I've got like all my meme coins right here. So let's look at Bobo Pepe. All right. Why am I bullish Bobo, right? You only want to hold a meme coin, and this was just an example I gave in my recent video. If it's performing well against your major, right? Is it perform Why would you hold a meme coin of any market cap if it's not outperforming Doge? Okay, so we know Pepe outperforms Doge. Why would I hold Bobo? Well, this is the Bobo Pepe chart. It's not only outperforming Doge, which is implied by this chart, but it's outperforming Pepe. When the chart is moving down like this, guys, highlighted in blue, that means that Pepe is outperforming Bobo. When it's moving up, it's the opposite. Bobo is outperforming Pepe. Okay, so just a quick refresher here. So you can chart this stuff again. Like none of this is like it's shilly. Like it's literally like I'm looking at technicals here, going Bobo paired against Pepe, reaccumulated from July all the way through February of the following year. You can put a trend line on this stuff, and then we come back after multi-month reaccumulation, and we hold demand on the first tap, and we start to move upwards, and now we're in price discovery. And I'm bullish Pepe. So if I think Pepe is going to go up 10x, and the Bobo Pepe chart is looking like it's going to go straight up in a straight line, then I should be uber bullish Bobo. But understand the implication is that it's beta to Pepe. It's higher risk. So, again, you look at this and you just go, what are we even talking about? Like, I'm so bullish Bobo because I'm bullish Pepe, because I'm bullish Doge, because I'm bullish Bitcoin, and I'm bearish Bitcoin dominance. Here's the pair right here, guys. This is what Crash is talking about. Visualize differently on a chart. If you're bullish Pepe, look at the Bobo Pepe pair. Like, you can't make this up. Like, the fact that it's actually chartable and you can trade this, there's a web of interconnectivity here, and you're looking at it right here. This isn't made up. You know, this is real data, and it goes even further down the risk curve, right? Like, man, what do I even want to talk about here? Like, all right, so here's another one. So here's Mumu, right? So this is a micro cap derivative of Pepe, right? Here it is charted against. So here's the US dollar pair. Okay. So here's the USD pair. We're in this clean range. I swing high, swing low, mid-range taps, bear trap. Now we're in price discovery. That's great, and I'm happy about that. But what I'm more happy about is that basically going all the way back here to July of 2023 through right now, we've basically been grinding against high time frame demand, building a rounded bottom, and are starting to break out against Pepe. Again, this is Mumu Pepe. So it's like, yeah, it is a micro cap. Yes, it's super risky, but the fact that we have, 9 months of data of, Mumu paired against Pepe, this isn't random. Like, all of this is all of these decisions are data dependent, right? Like, I'm looking at this. This is incredible. Like, this is absolutely incredible. And here we'll look at Brett. We'll look at Brett Pepe. Okay. Look at this, man. This is unreal.
It's starting to break out. Last I checked, it was during the pullback below the high, but this looks like it's coiling up under the high there, to break
So
out.
This is Brett Pepe here, right here. So just a quick reminder for those that don't know what they're looking at here. If it's bleeding, that means that Pepe is outperforming Brett. And if it's moving up, that means Brett is outperforming Pepe. And again, love Brett, but why would I hold Brett if it's not going to outperform Pepe? With that said, is it a conspiracy that, we can play trend lines on this pair with the number one meme coin on base against Pepe, which is a multi-billion-dollar asset? Look how many taps on these SR levels we have. Like, how is this real, right? So what am I expecting here? I mean, low key, like, I think it's probably just going to do this. Like, I think we'll probably range a little longer. Pepe will start to perk up. You'll flip this level and you'll break out of this wedge to the upside. Wherever it goes, I don't know. I don't know how high it goes. We can speculate once we get there. But here's Brett against Pepe, right? Like, it's unbelievable that this works, and you can chart this. So because we're bullish Pepe, we should be bullish Brett because it's reaccumulating in a bullish structure. Again, and I've got a whole list of them here, right? Here's Dodo. Here's Dodo paired against Pepe. Look at this trend line. I marked it in purple.
Let me point out something about Dodo, bro, and I don't have any, but look at how it's basing out above the highs. Like, okay,
bro, so
a bearish chart pumps and dumps. But when you pump and you have all this sideways movement after a massive pump, this is actually the most bullish thing you can see.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're basing out above the highs after a massive pump, like, that's very bullish. And so now what's going to take it higher? The money flow, like Dogecoin going to 40 cents, 60, $1,
Yep.
right? All that money flow now, it comes in support and in combination with this chart structure, right? And that's where the money is going to combine with the charts. And so go back to the Brett chart for a second, right? And we can think, like, we lay out the technicals, the charts. Now we look at what could be the catalyst for what the charts are telling us. Oh, it could be Brett is getting listed on Bybit, KuCoin, OKX, Crypto.com next, right? Because it is getting to that point where the tier 1 listings are probably going to be happening any day now. To those caliber giants are going to be listing it soon. And so, there you go. Now the ability for people all around the world has just opened up for them to buy Brett. And now that leads to new money flow coming into it and new people being able to buy that weren't able to buy it. And also think about this on base. There are no base coins really listed on exchanges right now. And this is one of the only base coins that's going to be accessible to the entire world. So anyone who wants to buy anything on base, well, Brett is going to be that coin that's accessible to everyone in the world. And so as those doors get opened on those top tier exchanges, that's where the new money comes from. And so it combines with the charts. You can lay out the catalyst, you can lay out the speculation, and it all ties in with the charts. But that's the thing. You didn't even need to know that these big exchanges are probably about to list, right? You could just look at the chart and see that for yourself. So then when you have understanding of what's actually going on in the world and with the charts, that's how you just
Dude,
you're
the
ahead of the game.
confluence is impeccable for Brett specifically. Like, and here's the thing, like you just said, I don't even need to know that exchanges are looking at it, because I can just look at this chart and feel confident enough. But when you combine, that knowledge and that foresight with a technical setup like this, confidence level is peak, and base is so young, man. Like, and Brett's the clear front runner on it. Like, there's nothing even close, in my opinion.
Dude, we should look real quickly at like Whiff's performance since the bottom against Solana, and then Shib's performance against Ethereum since the bottom, and Pepe's performance against Ethereum since the bottom, for example.
100%, we can do that.
And you, do you want to pull it up? Because like, dude, the way you lay out the charts, it just looks so much cooler than me. I don't know how to do it like that,
Yeah, I got you. 100%. Yeah, well, let's talk about some memes, man. We'll work our way down here. So, like this chart is bullish, right? This chart is bullish, and then one recently that I've been really interested in is Andy on ETH, because it's the contract starts one number off from Pepe. It's 0x68, and look at how this is trading, right? Like, can you make this up? Can you make this up here? Range high. Again, it's all based on data. Range low, interaction with the mid-range, and look at where we're pausing right now. We're stuck right at the 1.618. But guess what happens when you break through the 1.618? As shown earlier with, like the Caspa chart. When you break through the 1.618, then you get the 2.618. But why did I decide to buy this one too? Well, the reason I bought it is because Andy on ETH paired against Pepe. Andy ETH, right? How is this possible, right? That we have, a downtrend that we can actually chart here. How can I do this? Chart this, micro cap against Pepe, and it works. Like this is incredible. So again, I'm bullish all of these, these memes and derivatives of Pepe because I'm sorry, because I'm bullish Pepe, because I'm bullish Doge, because I'm bullish Bitcoin, and I'm bearish Bitcoin dominance. Therefore, if it's charting well against Pepe, I like to hold it, right? Because I like to hold it. But you wanted to talk about comparing Whiff against Brett. Was that what you said? Or
so like Whiff versus Solana, and then Shib or Pepe as the top memes on ETH versus Ethereum.
I got you. All right, so let's do Whiff USD versus Sol USD. Perfect. All right. Let's remove all of this. So this here, guys, is Whiff paired against its mothership. Paired against the mothership Sol, right? So just a quick refresher here, and I'll label it here. So this is Whiff Sol. All right. When the chart is doing this, and it's going straight up, that means that Whiff is a better hold than Sol. And obviously Whiff is on Solana, okay? When it's going down like this, that means that Sol is outperforming Whiff. All right, so how's it looking? How's it looking?
It's a leverage bound Solana,
It is.
Same with Pepe, right? I would assume.
Yeah.
No, it definitely is.
I mean, it looks really good, right? Like there's a lot of different ways we could chart this, but I look at this and I just go, why even hold Solana when you have, Sol Beta that's looking.
And also remember the important point we brought up. This is before Bitcoin dominance rolls over to the downside, and these things are still outperforming the main coins. So what happens when Bitcoin dominance rolls over? What are these things going to do then, man? Like that's why I can be confident. I can be up millions and millions and millions and not give a flying frick, okay? Because I just you see this in the charts, and you know what ultimately is going to unfold.
Hang on, I think we got a big super chat. Someone was saying something we ignore. I haven't even been looking at the comments, guys. Sorry, we've just been cooking on the charts. I don't mean to ignore anybody. Give me a second, man. Let me find it. Let me find it. Is there a super chat?
Yeah.
Oh wow, we got $100, man, from Austin. Whoa, thank you, Austin. That was MX. What is MX? Is that US dollars or something else? I don't know. Either way, Austin, thank you so much, man. How about APU analysis? I haven't done any analysis on it, but I will. I will definitely take a look, man. Thank you for the support. We had another super chat, APU. Yeah, haven't done any analysis on it, but I will definitely check it out, guys. But thank you guys so much for the support. All right. Yeah, man, Whiff Soul looks really, really strong. And looking at it like, from this perspective as well, like we should maybe look at it in log, but I mean, I don't know, right? Like it's kind of hard to say. Like it's going crazy. You can kind of do both, but I look at this and I just go, all right, this is kind of that same like Brett pattern that we were just looking at, where we'll probably just reaccumulate, and I bet we end up flipping this Whiff against Soul, and then you're just off to the races, right? But this is your line in the sand. Like this is your area. Like watch for reaccumulation. Maybe you come back into this level. Maybe again, it doesn't matter for me personally. If it did, look for reaccumulation, and then I would even maybe look at like connecting this, like this, some sort of channel. So we'll see when it happens, but then I would look for that to potentially play. We could even just draw a channel on here, and just see how even the mid-range would play. Yeah, that's certainly interesting. I think we'll keep that for now. That's really interesting. Yeah. So
the ultimate point to make here is that the top meme on the chain is going up and to the right versus its actual blockchain, Solana. If we could pull up the chart versus PEPE next, let's see, is the number one meme on ETH that was birthed in this bear market, is it going up and to the right versus Ethereum? The answer is yes, right?
Oh, you want PEPE ETH?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I thought you were gonna say against Whiff. But yeah, I mean, look at this, man. Why would you hold ETH when you've got ETH beta basically looking like this? Exactly. I mean, look at how much it's up this year, man. Look at how much it's up this year from the point of origin of this move to where we're currently at. 460%, 460%. And it also looks fantastic, right? Like all you have to do is just look at beta, right? Like is it a conspiracy that I can put a trend line on PEPE paired against ETH, or is it real technical analysis that works? And watch what happens when we come back up to this top trend line. I bet we reject off of it once and then we eventually blast. But this is a giant bull flag right here. Like this is a giant bull flag. And targets for this pair, honestly, I would probably be looking. I would probably do like the last sell-off that we had. I would probably do like this right here. Maybe, but you could also bring it back to like here and try to look for like a mid-range. I don't love that fit. This would be okay, maybe, because of yeah, I actually like this. I haven't ever really, I don't chart PEPE against ETH too much, and the reason why is because I charted against Doge, because I recognize Doge is going to perform better than ETH. So why even bother? I just want to make sure I'm outperforming Doge. But I do like this swing high to this global low, and then we have a clear interaction with the mid-range, and then also another point of confluence is a perfect double bottom retest before the blast off. And now we're just basically bull flagging at the previous all-time high. And again, just a quick reminder here, this is PEPE ETH. This is PEPE ETH that we're talking about. So where would my target potentially be? I mean, first target would be 200% above here. So if ETH goes up 100%,
like 10 billion, bro, or 9 billion market cap.
I mean, yeah, well, that's assuming.
Oh wait, no. Actually, no, it's not, because we have to account for Ethereum's increase as well.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's assuming, yeah, like you said, that's assuming ETH stays where it is. What if ETH goes up to 6,000? And then we hit the 1.618 here on Pepe ETH. Then ETH goes up 2x, but Pepe ETH goes up 3x. So then it's 3 times 2, it's 6x. So it's like
exactly.
Then we have a 3 bill market cap times a 6x in USD terms.
18
Talking
billion.
about 18 to 20, 18 to 20 billion. If ETH goes to 6K and this pair goes to the 1.618, you're looking at a $20 billion Pepe. So it looks fantastic.
And that's numbers, bro. That's just logic, right? Like, okay, now we know if Ethereum doubles and Pepe's outperforming that, bam, like we did the numbers. Like we just added up, simple math,
Yeah.
And so we have actual solid targets to like look forward to and have confidence that will be hit. So okay, so now let's make a major point here, right? Pepe outperforms its blockchain. You have WIF, which is outperforming its blockchain. And now think about this, like on Base, for example, it's gonna be massive, right? They don't have a token like Ethereum or Solana. But even if they did, we know that the number one meme on that blockchain would, just like Pepe or WIF, be outperforming the token anyways. So who cares about the base token? If it's here or not, like you would outperform it with Brett anyways. Like, so these top memes on the chains are just leverage bets on the actual blockchains. You realize that? Well, welcome to Base. Welcome to Brett. Welcome to gaining your upside exposure on that chain. Just like you see it on Pepe on Ethan. You see it with WIF on Solana. And, as someone who I've seen WIF at 50 million, 200 million, 400 million, I still haven't bought a bag of WIF. But, man, going through the charts here, it does make me realize, like, and I still probably won't get a bag of WIF just simply because I already have amazing positions and I just don't need it. But like if I was like had no positions, like I'd absolutely be entertaining the idea or thought of getting a WIF position probably, So
for right now, since Base doesn't have a token, I mean, we should probably just be looking at Brett against ETH. Would that make sense to you as well?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Is that Brett over ETH? Wow,
this is Brett over ETH. So I look at this and I just go, what are we even talking about? Similarly to Pepe over ETH, we're kind of just reaccumulating, like bull flagging, basically, like above the previous all-time high. Like, what are we even talking about here? Like, it just doesn't get much more bullish than that. Like, reaccumulation on top of a previous high time frame resistance that we broke out of. I mean,
yeah,
you guys decide,
go to like the 12-hour maybe. Like I feel like the bigger candles make it like I feel like and then the daily, like this is as clear as it gets, man. Like imagine thinking that that's bearish.
I mean, all we've done here is just come back to fill in this large daily inefficiency. You can see that when we gapped up and we broke out of this, basically multi-week resistance level here on Brett ETH. This is not Brett USD. This is Brett paired against ETH. Space doesn't have a token. You can see that, we did in fact leave a gap in the chart and inefficiency. And now we've come back in. I'll go to the lower time frame quick just to show you. I mean, again, we just came back and we wicked into it perfectly and spit back out of it. So again, maybe we pressure that low again, maybe not, but this area is concrete. This should hold. I would be surprised if it didn't. I would be surprised personally because the chart does look good. The chart certainly does look good.
Yep. So yeah, a lot of key points highlighted in this, man. I hope everyone got a lot of value out of this live, and first time me and Max ever get on a live together. I feel like we dropped a lot of heat for sure and a lot of amazing charts. So
we may have done too much, Crash. We may have told too much.
We should have probably saved some for like the next one, Like
see how this chart is doing that too, where you break out above the previous all-time high and you just like chop and like reaccumulate, guys. This is what, did I delete that? Yeah, I did. Damn it. Here, I'll pull it back up. This is what we're ETH/USD. Like that's not it. USD. I guess we'll do this one. ETH/USD. like this is that same thing where you're just above the previous all-time high and you're just chopping. Like that's so bullish, you know. That's so bullish. But yeah, anyways, man, I got a whole list, man. I got a whole list, but we should probably wrap it up here, man. We're at the 2 hour mark. We're at the 2 hour mark.
Ton of information, bro. Everyone, you guys can rewatch this, man. Thanks for having me, dude. That was awesome. And also, last thing I want to say is actually, no, I'm not even gonna say it. It's like some comments out there, bro. Just some of you guys, I don't know, whatever, bro. This was great. It was really nice to get on a live for the first time ever with you, meet you actually, and that was dope, man. So, thanks, bro.
Yeah, no, of course, man. We'll have to run this back again, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Before you guys go, do me a solid. Please like the video so that more people can see it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Additionally, check out the link in the description below. That will take you to Crash's X account. He's a great follow. Lots of knowledge. Again, he posts constantly, so a great follow. If you don't follow him already, link is in the description below. Please like and subscribe. And guys, we'll run this back. I don't know when, but you know, we'll communicate. So that was fun. Crash, it was a pleasure, brother. And yeah, have a good rest of your Tuesday night. And we'll talk again soon. All right.
Talk soon, man.
Thanks, guys. Yep.